Welcome back to another episode of Boys from the Bridge. Now, in this episode, we are discussing England. As you can see, I got the England shirt on. We are talking about Gareth Southgate's potential 11 that I believe he's going to put out and the potential 11 that I think he should put out. So I'm going to be comparing his best 11, my best 11. I want you to let me know which team you would put out. But yes, big differences in this team. So let's get into it. So a big factor to point out in this selection that I am choosing injured players that I believe are going to make it in time for the World Cup. So the likes of Reece James, we all know he's injured. He's currently in Dubai receiving treatment. I believe he is going to make it back. We just have to keep a positive mindset because that is going to be a detrimental loss for England if he's out. The likes of Kyle Walker is still injured for England. I also believe that he's going to make it back in time. Ben Chilwell got injured last night for Chelsea in a deadbeat game. What was Potter doing playing him for 90 minutes? He should have come off at 50 minutes. He did not need to play the entire duration of the game. Like so Mason Mount and Harry Kane, I am very worried about. Mason Mount has played 10 of Potter's 11 games in charge. Both players need a rest. The worst thing that could happen is an injury to either of them. So, the teams, big differences in terms of the formation. I've gone with a 4-3-3. It allows England to have an additional player in that midfield. Southgate obviously goes for 3 at the back, that 4 in midfield and 3 in attack. That allows England to be more defensive, whilst I want England to be more offensive because they have such outstanding attacking talent on the pitch. So, in goals, both teams do have Jordan Pickford in goal. He's been really, really good for Everton recently. I know at the beginning he did let in a lot of goals, but every time there's a major tournament, Pickford steps up and becomes a beast for England in goal. Never let them down. I know Nick Pope started a couple of games, had that blunder against Germany, and Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal are top of the league, so he has to be a contender for that starting place in England. But Jordan Pickford will no doubtably be England's number 1. I have 4 at the back. Gareth Southgate is going to have 3 at the back. My back 4, Reece James in the right back position, offers a lot going forward. We know that Kieran Trippier, Alexander-Arnold or contenders for this position, but Reece James, my opinion, is the best in this position. Next to Reece James, I have gone for Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker is obviously injured. Fingers crossed that he's going to be back in time. He offers a lot to England with his pace. He can get the likes of Dyer or even in Southgate's team, Maguire, out of trouble with his pace coming back. Next to Kyle Walker, I have gone with Eric Dyer. Tottenham have been very good this season, even though they are playing boring football. Conte has really rejuvenated the likes of Eric Dyer. He was once such an important player for England, but now he's been dropped out over the last few games for England, and I believe that he should start next to the likes of Kyle Walker. Now, finishing off that back 4, I think that Luke Shaw should be the starting player. And I'm a Chelsea fan, so obviously I have a bias towards the likes of Ben Chilwell, but I do think that Luke Shaw, every time he's played for England, has stepped up and would be the starting player no matter what, even if Ben Chilwell was fit. Now, Southgate's back 3, similar. I think that he's going to be playing Kyle Walker on the right of the back 3. He's going to be playing Eric Dyer through the middle. And the likes of Harry Maguire, unfortunately, I think he's going to be playing him on the left. Kyle Walker can also get the likes of Harry Maguire out of trouble. If Harry Maguire does step into that middle position, that will probably suit him better, because then if he does get beaten, Kyle Walker is there with the pace. One note to mention is that the likes of John Stones isn't in this team. He is also recovering from an injury. I do think Eric Dyer has had a more consistent season than the likes of John Stones so far. The likes of Ben White is another mention. And, you got Newcastle and Brighton defenders that are also English that should also get a mention. Moving on to the midfield. Gareth Southgate's midfield. You got Reece James as a right wing back, Bellingham and Declan Rice in the midfield. Both of those have been exceptional for their respective teams this season. And Luke Shaw as a left wing back. My midfield has Declan Rice, has the likes of Jude Bellingham, a little different as I have opted with only 4 at the back, so it allows me to have an extra midfielder, and I would play Mason Mount as a central attacking midfielder. Now, I gave Mason Mount quite a lot of stick at the beginning of this season. He looked tired. He wasn't there for the first, opening 5 games. He was struggling, and I was really worried about Mason Mount. But recently, he's really stepped up. Since Potter's arrival, he's played with a lot more fluidity, a lot more confidence going forward. So he, in my team, should be playing just behind the likes of Harry Kane. Southgate loves the likes of Mason Mount and Raheem Sterling. I have not been a fan of Raheem Sterling at all this season. I know he scored a goal last night in the Champions League. He misses a great deal of chances. He also can't beat the man. Every time he's running at an opponent, it feels like Raheem Sterling can't get past him. We know that in the Euros, he was England's standout player with the likes of Luke Shaw. Phillips was also a standout player, so Southgate will no doubtably play Raheem Sterling on that left-hand side. I, however, have gone for Phil Foden. Phil Foden hasn't been the best for England, but for Man City, he is so good, offers that team so much, so Phil Foden has to start in that left-hand position, and we can bring the likes of Sterling off on the bench. Saka, Arsenal's best player, basically England's best player for the last few years, has to start on that right wing position. I know he missed the penalty that made England lose the Euros, but I feel like he has a point to prove, and I think that he is going to offer this England team a lot going forward. Against Italy in the Nations League, Southgate played him as a left wing back. He is not a left wing back. He plays as a right winger, and he offers so much going forward. So Saka has to start in the right wing position. Now, Southgate loves Mason Mount. I think he's going to play Mason Mount on that right wing position, kind of interchangeable with the likes of Sterling, can even come behind Harry Kane. So Southgate's going to probably choose Mason Mount as a right winger. Both teams have Harry Kane up front leading the line. There's kind of no question about that. So there's a few differences in these teams. I do think that the team I chose is more attacking and does offer a lot more going forward, and also is defensively minded with the likes of Declan Rice and Bellingham that can defend really well. Some mentions that I do want to talk about. James Maddison was very, very close to getting in this team for me. I almost put him ahead of Mason Mount. I do believe that Mason Mount recently has been outstanding for Chelsea, so that's why I have gone with Mason Mount. The likes of Ben White, as I mentioned before, also an honourable mention, as he offers a lot to this England team. Ben Chilwell, unfortunately, got injured. It's devastating for Chelsea, devastating for England. We had this problem last season with Reece James and Ben Chilwell getting injured. I believe we probably would have won the Premier League if those players didn't get injured. If those players are fit, we can beat anyone. The wing-back system for Chelsea is so important, and the way Gareth Southgate plays is so important. If those players are on form, in great shape, there's no country or club we can't beat. So yes, really looking forward to it. The World Cup is only a few weeks away. Can't wait. Hoping that Reece James, Kyle Walker, Ben Chilwell is receiving a scan on his hamstring, so I'm hoping it's not that bad. Doesn't look great, though. He's probably going to miss the World Cup and be out for 6 weeks. Yes, come on, England. It's coming home. Till next time, see you later.